My name is Robert Parks. I'm a visionary artist. My studio is eagleoflightstudio.com for the website. We have an online store. We're going to keep going on the Shield series. I'm going to answer some questions that were asked. One, I had been lately asked a lot. When I was younger, I was asked a lot more. Is this computer generated? No, it is not. It is the work you're looking at right now, the Shield of Thoth, the Shield of the Peoples, are done with airbrush. First black, white, gray, and then thin layers of air or airbrush color. There are many layers, sometimes anywhere from 20 to 30, 40 layers of color. So to answer that question, now today we're going to be talking about the Shield of Thoth. The particular painting you see over my shoulder is a mandala of the future. Thoth has a long history. There's a lot of material. His family arrives on Earth, according to the Sumerian text, about 450,000 BC. So they're around a while. And then he had what's called the Emerald Tablets, which he describes himself as the king of Atlantis. And then later, or it's hard to tell, some believe that Thoth was also Hermes, three times great, which some believe he was Thoth, Hermes, and Apollo, or he's sometimes even called Enoch. So he's been around a while. Although this particular painting, it took me a while to get a little bit more confirmed, a little bit more than a myth. And that is, some of the details I'm going to give you, the Thoth and the Emerald Tablets spell out pretty well, easy to research, plenty of material on it. But this is the future. And the way Hermes describes it is that during the time, this is actually written by his students, this particular, what I'm talking about right here. He's talking to his students, and he points out that in the future, there's going to be a time where man worships greed, which we're in right now, actually. And as the age ends, something's going to happen in space that potentially would destroy the Earth or could create a great deal of damage. So Thoth in the future creates, some believe it's a flying vehicle or a device that is under the pyramid, which is called the Halls of Lamente or Amente. And there's whatever this machine is, it's set in the middle of a large library. And how to use this machine will when it's time, be brought up. And that's a protection for Earth. So this particular painting, trying to portray, you can see on the top left that there's like an orange shooting star. I couldn't really tell exactly what event Thoth was talking about, or Hermes was talking about his interpretation of Thoth. So I just kind of left it as a flame, and his symbol is the star tetrahedron. That's where the 8 flowers in the center are. And then, of course, you see a sword. And so, again, I portrayed that as part of the protection. Now, I will be getting into a lot more with Hermes and Thoth. It's a huge myth. Like I said, his family starts off here quite a number of years ago, and may have been part of a very evolved race of people. And they may have been part of our solar system too. That's describing in the Hindu Yugas that when his family arrives here, we're in the period called the Golden Age. and our solar system was technically not a solar system. Our ultraviolet sun was too far away to heat the Earth, and at that time, Saturn was electrically charged and was giving off um, a light that was all day. There was no day or night as such, other than the view of Saturn being very close. So that we'll get into as we talk about other subjects with and around Thoth and Hermes and Apollo and Enoch. Um, Hermes provides a lot of interesting stuff, which he calls the Kabbalion. Um, and again, the Kabbalion really is very similar to the material written in the Emerald Tablets themselves. Although the Emerald Tablets tend to be more poetic, or to me, anyways, they seem to be more poetic and metaphoric or metaphorical. Um, Whereas Hermes is, most of the time, his students would write down what he spoke about. And that's really where you get, it's more technical writing, I would call it. So that's part of the journey. I really enjoy doing the series here, the Shield series, and we'll be doing a few more. I won't probably do a couple more videos on this particular series because there's a number of paintings. Almost every one of them could be a form of mandala protection. But I'll get into all that, and we'll talk more and more about that because, like I said, Thoth and Hermes is quite fascinating. I would even go so far to say that our modern religious fervor really was founded in the Emerald Tablets or Hermes and the Kabbalion and Hermetics. Again, this is all material that's readily available. You can look it up. I would like you to. Just don't take my word for it. Check this out. Now, again, to go back to this particular painting, I thought it really interesting that there was a description of this device under the pyramid. And we don't even really know it's actually under the pyramid. It may be, it may not be. Maybe the pyramid vibrationally uses this device to protect the earth in some way. Now, Thoth, from Hermes, from Thoth, there was a real. Thoth was protecting Earth for some time. His family, he took on the responsibility, evidently. His dad gave him the Atlantis kingship, or he earned it. I have no way of really knowing one way or the other. But he knew of, he talks about before the flood and after the flood. And actually, he talks about other disasters thousands of years before. Now, each time, Thoth and I assume the whole family, again, that's a myth or metaphor, who knows, he would set tablets and hide very evolved knowledge. I mean, he starts off simply with teaching people to feed themselves after these disasters, especially after the flood. I don't think man would have made it if it hadn't been for Thoth and again, his family. I have the name, but they wouldn't mean anything to you. Would use these myths starting way back, like I said, pre-Atlantis, really. And he would leave these stepping stones for mankind to survive, including a lot of spiritual concepts. Now, Thoth also, and we talked about Shield of the People, we talked about sonic geometry. and that open portals. Well, Thoth really presented the same kind of information. He would teach people, and Hermes being one of them, if he was not actually Thoth himself, um, how to go, which is called the Akashic or Akasha or Akashic records, is what it's mostly known in the West for. And basically, it is the ability to be in the center of time. Uh, the Tibetans and the Hindu call it a chakra or a wheel. That the center or the hub moves slower than the outside of the wheel, and the axle, this metaphor, and the axle stays fixed. Now, on a wheel, if we're using this metaphor, the fixed axle is protoplasm or any number of phenomena that would help develop spiritual man. So again, if it had not been for people like Thoth, mankind would have had a hard time, and they're still struggling. They still end up, according to Hermes and Thoth, mankind still ends up worshiping greed. And Thoth and Hermes also warn, even though man will become more mature and spiritual, the need to control and greed will never completely go away. So it's always going to be a cycle, at least for most of us, until we ascend. And then at ascension, we will then move away from this greed, worshiping greed aspect of our beings. So today I'm going to stop there. There's lots to talk about, more than you can imagine. Again, I would ask you to check out sonic geometry, vortex geometry, sacred geometry. It'll all help you understand this conversation. Thank you very much.